Hello everybody and welcome into the kitchen here at Clean Valley Farms. It's one of those kind of days outside that as a gardener you love and yet you hate because the garden needs the rain but you want to be out playing in the dirt, right? So what do? You come inside and to avoid being chilly you play with chilies. That's what I'm going to do. There have been a few requests to see what all goes into my powdered pain. I am making the blend for 2016 from the 2015 harvest and leftovers and figured I'd bring you along. So let's get started. You gotta love the humble dried pepper, and I really love the humble dried pepper. Here's a fairly decent selection from what I grew last year and what has survived up to this point. Some of these jars have more in them than others, and I've got some early jalapenos that I probably won't put into this particular blend because I like it spicy, and these are a little on the not side. But one by one we're going to powder these up, mix them all together in this handy red container of some kind I seem to have sitting around, and that will be the 2016 powdered pain. So let's get started, see what it looks like when it's done. One word of advice for somebody who might be trying this the first time: once you use a spice grinder for something like this, it can never go back. It just, yeah, it's never the same again. So just be advised, put one aside specifically for hot peppers. Don't ever waste it that way. Anyway, let's start with what's left of the sweet heat peppers. Good bit to add in there. Good start, good start. Just kind of dump those in there unceremoniously. Fill it up. That's a good start. Leaves me a few of those to play with. And there's seeds down in there, aren't there? Alright, so I'm going to save you the most of the zipping and the annoying sound that goes along with it, but basically give it a shake every once in a while, help loosen up those bigger chunks, make sure they hit the blade and everything ends up nice and even. We'll get back with the next few peppers. But before that, Shocks would like it mentioned that it's a good idea to let this rest for a second, because if you're really quick, you get this mushroom cloud, if you will, of hot pepper powder, and it's been known to cause sneezing fits and all kinds of things. And yeah, avoid touching your ear, eyes, nose, throat, anything. I can smell that from here, and that smells beautiful. Look at that color to start with. It's going to be a nice blend this year. So there is the sweet heat, nicely pulverized, powdered, and ready to go. Just going to dump it in here for mixing a little bit later on. So after a second thought there, you know what? I've got several of these sweet heat plants growing and one already producing fruit, so I'm just going to blast all of them for this year's blend. Oh, the light in this kitchen does this no justice, but that is a beautiful color. And we're starting off with quite a smoky aroma this year, apparently. Delightful. So next up, I've got a decent sized jar of the St. Thomas Bain peppers. These are accidental freak peppers, long story. It's all over the channel, I'm sure you can find it. But I'm gonna have to put some of these in here. Fantastic pepper, really. So there's a look at the first batch of the St. Thomas Bain that's been powdered up going in there. Again, I'm loving the color and this smell is fantastic. Gonna be a great batch this year. So there's a bit from the last batch of the St. Thomas Bain. That worked out to be 4 of these going in there. So 2 sweet heat, 4 St. Thomas Bain, and the party's just getting started. So there are a few of the super chilies from when we first got here. Got some of these, of course. Probably be, I don't know, about 1.5. We'll see. Only 3 peppers in and the sneezes are already beginning, but here's a look at the super chilies. It did work out to be a single load. Looks pretty darn good to me though. So next up we've got some of the orange fugo. I didn't really save an awful lot of these, kind of tended to eat them fresh, but don't care for the color as they dried. Probably won't be drying a lot of these in the future, but this year they're going in the blend. So that worked out to about a half measure then of the orange fugo in there. Get that all blitzed up, add it to the growing pile. So here is a look at the orange fugo. That powdered up really nicely. Didn't look like much dried in pieces, but as a powder that looks pretty good. Pepper number 5, the Red Demon. Those of you who watched the pepper collector videos may recall this one is the one that kind of made me hiccup and cry and all that at the same time. It is a darn good pepper. Should probably be at least one measure in there, maybe even 1.5. Yeah, it's going to be a great blend this year. That's a mighty good starting point for pepper number 5. Here's a look at the Red Demon after it's been through the grinder. Again, some beautiful color on this stuff. And quite the intense little mushroom cloud. Getting more stuffed up by the pepper. Pepper number 6, Long Red Cayenne from 2015. It's a decent amount in there. I am getting very excited for this blend. Here's those Long Red Cayennes powdered up very, very nicely. Next up we've got the Crimson Red. Take a look at these beauties. I was already going through here looking for seeds earlier. I've got a bunch of them I'm going to plant shortly, but look at that color when they're dried. That's a fabulous looking pepper. Well, that didn't powder up to a whole lot. That is so dark that almost looks like rust flakes. Oh wow. Delightful. A quick look at the mountain we're building in our handy red container here. Quick look at the El Jefe peppers before they go in. I've got a few more of them in the grinder than that, but again, it's a really nice looking pepper. I really hope the plant upstairs does come back to life for me. Do something productive this year. So there's a look at the El Jefe all ground up. I love the mix with the few green peppers in there. Just get those extra bit of color in your flake. Love it. Next up we've got the Kung Pao hybrids. This is one of the larger jars. It's a nicely productive pepper. I've been able to grow it a couple years running now. Very happy with it as a plant and as a fruit. So let's get to powdering this up. Should be, I don't know, probably 3 measures in there with this by the time we're done. So how do those Kung Pao peppers look, eh? Pretty nice, pretty nice. And it did work out to 3 measures, for those of you who are keeping score. Next up we've got the lemon yellow hot peppers. These I think did make it to the pepper collector videos, so you can check that out. I'll be sure to put a link in somewhere, but that'll add a nice dash of color. Not quite yellow anymore, but not too far off the mark. Well, how does that look, eh? Pretty good, pretty good. Not a mustard or a cornmeal. Warning, warning. So get a look at that before I start to add a few of those green chilies. I think I'm only going to go with 11 because I'm not going to add the early jalapenos to it. Just didn't like the flavor dried, but I am going to throw in probably 2 measures worth of the green chilies. And it's moments like this that the true pepper lovers ask themselves, could I replace my matcha powder with that? A little more kick than green tea. Let's get that into the mix. Alright, so now that my sneezing fit is done, the dog is done video bombing, and I can finally breathe to speak again, it's time to mix this up nice and thoroughly with, you know, a ridiculously simple method I'll show you in a second here. Now, you're going to want to make sure your lid is on tight because it would really suck to have this come out spilling everywhere. But, in your nondescript red container, just kind of roll it around and it will mix up in there like you wouldn't believe. I've tried shaking this in the past, but that is even worse when the lid comes off, so I recommend rolling. Since the traditional powdered pain jar is too small for all of this, we've got an old salsa jar here and a Parmesan cheese shaker for when, you know, we're feeling adventurous. So I'm just going to scoop this in with a ladle into a piping bag that Shock's kindly offered me after all of my sneezing and the laughter was done. But that should work fairly well. We'll get back to this when my jars are filled up and or my convenient red container is empty. You know what we have here is a handful of happiness for Mr. Bear. That's right. And because it's a parm container, open! Oh yeah. Or for those really crazy moments. This is really awkward with just... I'm right-handed, by the way. Aha! Yeah. Happy face. Alright. Okay, 3-eyed happy face. He's been swimming in Springfield. But still... handful of happiness right there. So there we go, the 2016 powdered pain. This is exceptionally red. I am very excited to try it. Gonna need to get some beef in town, I think. Maybe some chips, maybe some cheese. Oh yeah. Start this off with a nacho. Yeah, or taco. Yeah, we'll see. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up here. My nose is getting pretty stuffy. I should probably go clean that out. But thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you who are interested in just what exactly goes into the powdered pain, everything I've got on hand. All right. Have yourselves an absolutely fantastic day, everybody. I will see you next time.